Hi, good morning. So you got me for maths today, and I hope you are ready to learn. We've got a little review to do. So what that means is that we're going to look at all that we've done so far, and we're just going to consolidate that learning, making sure that we really understand place value and addition. Okay, so we're going to do some warm up, and then I'll explain your activity. Okay, so number splat. You may have seen this before, okay? But I love this game. So I'm going to count in, I'm going to count in fours. So can you count with me? Are you ready? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. What comes next? 4, 8, 24, 28, 32. Now I need to count 4 more. 36, 44, 48, 52, 56, and I'm going to start at 60. All right, so can you tell me something that you notice about the 4 times table? Because this is what it is. When we count in fours, we're counting in the 4 times table here. Okay, what do you notice about the ones? Yeah, they're all even numbers. Hey, check this out. What happens if I count in my 8s? Are you ready? So we're going to go 8, 16, 24, 32. What comes next? 40, 48, 56. Wow, look what's happened to our thing now. 56, now I need 8 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 64, 72, 80, 88, and then 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 96. Hey, look at the pattern now. Look what happened. Okay, so a 100 square is really good to help us to count. Like, for example, if I said, okay, we're going to count in tens, you would all go 10, 20, 30, 40. But what about if I wanted to count in tens from 3? What would the next number be? If I was counting in tens, if I was adding 10 more to it, yeah, it would be 13, 23, 33, 43, 53, and so on. Hey, what happens if I wanted to count back in tens from 56? I could just use my number square because I know that my tens is going to get 1 less. So 46, 36, 26, 16, 6. So this is a really good way of being able to count forwards, to count backwards, and to visualize where our next steps are. All right, so today's learning, we're going to come on to that now. Let's do some warm-ups. Here is a number. So you should have your whiteboard. I would like you to tell me what that number is. You've got 10 seconds. We have hundreds, we have tens, we have ones. What is this number? Yeah, you're so right. I'm going to write it here. It's 331. So, could you now tell me, if I was to add 10 more, if I was to give this number 10 more, what would that number be? What would it become if we add 10 to it? Have a think. Write it down. If we were to add another 10, let me just draw it in green to pretend, what would my number become? Yeah, it would become 341. And notice how it's only my 10 value that changed 1 more because I gave it 10. Okay, let's try another one. What's this number? Have a quick count on your screen. How many hundreds, how many tens, how many ones? Do you have to count in ones? Could you group them? Could you count in 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6? Okay, this number is, can you tell me? Can you tell me what this number is? It's 467. Well done if you got that. I'm really pleased if you're working along with me. Okay, so what happens now if we give this number 2 more hundreds? What would that number become if we give it 2 more hundreds? So think, where's my hundreds value? And if I give it 2 more, what would it become? I know some of you are screaming the answer at the screen already. I can see it. Your answer is 667. All right, well done if you got that. Let's try another one. Ooh, here's my number. How many hundreds, how many tens, how many ones? Break it down. Try not to count in ones. If you can count in 2s or 4s or 8s, that's even better. So your answer should have been 1, 2. So 2, 4, 600 and 30. And how many ones did I have? I'm going to count in 3s. 3, 6, 9. 639. Okay, what happens if I add another 40 to my number? If I add another 40, what would my number become? If I add another 40 to it, so think 40 means 4 tens. So visualize or draw. Drawing's great. I could draw my 1, 2, 3, 4 tens. So what's my number going to become now? Yeah, you're right. My number is going to become 600 because I didn't add any more hundreds. It's going to become 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and I didn't add any more 9s. So my answer was 679. I hope you got that. Remember, pause the video, rewind if you are unsure. Okay, let's have a look at some more. Here we have a number. So I'm hoping that you can all tell me what this number is. I'm hoping that you can all write this number in words. So this number is 378. And I always like to scribble all over my work just to remind me. So I'm going to put this. Now this is the place value. So we have our ones, we have our tens, and we have our hundreds. Okay, so now let's look at the question and see what it's asking me. The value of digit 7 stands for, what should I write there? It stands for 70. Or we could have said 7 tens, because it's in the tens column, isn't it? The value of digit 7 stands for 70. Because hiding behind this 8 here is that 0, isn't there? So 70, which is 7 tenths. The value of 3 stands for, what does the 3 stand for in this number? Yep, it stands for 300. Or we could have written 3 and then hundreds, which is going to take me a super long time. So I'm going to make it short and I'm going to write it all. Why not? Okay, so then let's have a look at the last one. The digit 8 stands for, and it stands for 8 ones, doesn't it? So as you can see, I'm writing the words as well because it's really helpful to do that. So it stands for 8 ones. Are you with me there? Okay, it's really important that we understand our place value and we can break it apart. We can partition it into their values. Okay, moving on. Here we go, we've got another simple one. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to have a look at it, have a read of it, and see if you can work out what each question stands for. So the first one says, the value of digit 1 stands for 1. So you probably told me it was 1 ones, didn't you? Because if we'd have been clever and we had have reminded ourselves, we know what our place value is, don't we? The digit 2 stands for 200. Or, like we said earlier, we could write 2 hundreds. The digit 9 is in the where's the digit 9? Yes, it's in the tens place. The digit 9 is in the tens place. You guys are doing brilliantly. This review is really helpful. It helps us to understand where we're at. So if you feel really confident with all that we've looked at so far, you're going to be superb today. Okay, here we're comparing numbers, aren't we? So have a look at them, see what you notice. They always try and give us numbers that look close together so they confuse us. But let's have a look. We've got 171, we've got 71, 157, 172. So question A asks us to write the value of the smallest number. So I know that 71 is the smallest. Why is 71 the smallest? Because it's got no hundreds. Because it's got no hundreds, it's got to be a smaller value. Awesome. And what's the greatest? So now I need to look, okay, every number has hundreds. This one has 5 tens. This one has 7 tens. So now where do I need to look? Because look, 107 tens, 107 tens. So how do I know which one's the greatest? Yeah, you're right. 172 is the greatest because it has more ones. Part C, arrange the numbers from greatest to smallest. Okay, well, if I know what the greatest is and I know what the smallest is, all I've got to do is work out the other two. So which one's greater, 171 or 157? 171 is greater, which means I've ordered them from smallest, from greatest to smallest. Do you agree with me? Okay, let's move on a bit further. Same activity again, okay? This time, I'm gonna give you some thinking time to do this on your whiteboard. So I'm gonna pause right now and I want you to work it out. Okay, so you should have what I've got on my board right now. The smallest was 123 because there were only 100s. The greatest was 321 because there were 300s. And then you can see that I've arranged them from greatest to smallest. 321, 232, 213, and the smallest being 123. Give me a thumbs up if you got that. Awesome. All right, so next step for today's review, number patterns. Now these are super tricky, especially when there's blanks, okay? So we need to find and identify. So let's take A as an example here. I'm going to look at these two. And I'm going to think, first of all, is my number getting bigger? Because if it is, I am adding. If my number is getting smaller, then I'm subtracting. So in this case, I'm adding. So I'm going to remind myself by putting that there. But what am I adding? How many jumps am I going from 106 to 108? 106, 107, 108. So I'm jumping 2. So now what that means is I should be able to fill in the blanks and then check that my answer is correct. So if I add 2 to this number, I should have 110. Which means if I add another 2, I should have 112. So let's just fill in the last one. This one should be 104. Now you should all have been able to count in your 2s there, okay? But the most important thing is that we check it. All right, so let's look at the next one. Here, we need to work out the jump, and we're gonna check it here as well. So step 1, we're gonna think, is my number getting smaller? Is my number getting bigger? So in this case, it's getting smaller, so we are going to subtract. So now we need to work out how many. So we've got 334, and we're going to take away a number to get 330. So we can count backwards. 334, 333, 332, 331, 330. Okay, so we're jumping back in 4s. So let's just check that this jumps in 4, and then we can fill in the blanks. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go 322, 321, 320, 319, 318. Yes, it does. Okay, so now let's subtract. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to see if you can figure out the answer. So the first one should have been 326, and the second one should have been 318, and we're taking 4 away. Okay, so it's going to be 314. And here I'm taking 4 1s from my 8 1s. Okay, so now it's over to you. Can you do C? Can you do D? Absolutely awesome. So you should have worked out in C that we were subtracting 10 each time, and you can see the correct answers on your screen. You also would have done D, and you would have noticed that we were adding 6 each time. We were counting on 6, and you can see the answers there on your screen. Super well done if you stuck with me the whole way through this review today. You've been brilliant. Okay, and we've looked at so many things. We've looked at place value, we've looked at number patterns, we've looked at partitioning numbers into their values. Okay, so all you need to do is do more of the same on Seesaw. You need to go and find the student template, add response, and fill in your gaps. Okay, think carefully about each number. Think carefully about reading the question properly. And once you've done that, Miss Elson and I would really love you to tell us how you did. How did you find this activity? And please record yourself explaining. You will notice that there is some extra possibility challenges on the student template. So what that means is if you feel like you're a super confident mathematician, you might want to give those trickier problems a go. But don't worry if you can't. Okay, have a really good session, and I look forward to marking your work.